What's up, guys? This is Bolt Struck with Duck and story of Justin Herbert's career. So we're going over the Chargers' loss to the Baltimore Ravens yesterday as of recording this video. And, just a lot of thoughts, just starting off with the fact that, this is such a Justin Herbert thing to happen to him. What I mean by that is another good quarterback. Again, Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. I will for sure give him that. But it's the fact that, all these other star quarterbacks get bailed out by their receivers, whereas Justin Herbert is constantly working against his receivers, right? Because Lamar played decently well, but it's all I've already seen on social media, from the Nick Wrights, the Colin Cowards, and just random people is how well Lamar played. And it's I don't think they're actually analyzing and watching these games. Lamar played decent, he had some good throws, but he had two or three picks dropped, should have been easy picks. One of those was that long Bateman touchdown where it's that ball was not only underthrown, but if Fulton gets his head around like he should have, that's an easy pick or at least a deflection, at worst. That one's especially annoying because it's he sees the end zone coming up, he's got to get his head around at some point. I don't know what took him so long. And then that Mark Andrews touchdown as well, that was just a, great catch by Mark Andrews. And it's things like that where it's you look at the Jamar Chases where it's Joe Burrow can give him, a 3-yard slant route and Jamar Chase can house it, and all these good quarterbacks, seem to have these guys, or even if you want to talk about systems, like a guy like Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't have his Tyreek Hill anymore, but it's the fact that Andy Reid can scheme guys up wide open. Justin Herbert never gets guys wide open. He never gets huge yards after carry. He actually gets first round receivers dropping, 3 consecutive balls in an important moment, and it's just that's what people don't take into consideration when they talk about Justin Herbert as a quarterback is what he's working against and what other quarterbacks are working with, And again, it's my litmus test for how much ball, football is if you think wins are a quarterback stat. For me, if you think wins are a quarterback stat, you instantly disqualified from talking about anything football and being taken seriously. But then again, more than that, it's being able to contextualize things. I know people like to joke Herbert is hypothetical man, but that's the only way to compare quarterbacks and players, because obviously quarterbacks are going to be better if they have, you know, Randy Moss and Andy Reid and Calvin Johnson. And that's just how it works. If you're not throwing to those guys, if you don't have these, great play callers, it's, you have to use hypotheticals to be able to judge quarterbacks. But again, just my main point of that is even though Lamar played decently well, I think he's a great quarterback, top 3, top 4 quarterback. It's just that is a huge difference. And that's not even mentioning the fact that he has Derrick Henry running the ball with him, plus a really, really good coach. But kind of segueing into that, that's also what happened in that Chargers game. You can't be too doom and gloom because I see it both ways. I know the Chargers haven't beaten a good team yet. The Broncos are 7-5, beat them. Bengals not a good record, but good talent. But it's the fact that they've played some of these winning record teams competitively, and if you believe the Ravens are a top 5 team like I do, they played them really, really well. They got screwed in a couple areas with a few calls, a few drops, and even more so, some coaching decisions. I think the Ravens got bailed out by a very bad coaching decision, going for it on that 4th down on their own 16-yard line. Regardless of the outcome, that's a bad decision every single time. Unless you're, down 21 points in the 4th quarter, you never go for it there. There's no reason to. And just the fact that you could argue it's the Chargers' fault for not stopping any of the 3 4th downs. You could also argue that they got unlucky, right? Because they did stop that 2-point conversion, which is essentially a 4th and short. And so it's just, again, a tough loss, a close loss to a really good team where the other team got bailed out by bad coaching decisions, bailed out by a couple bad Lamar throws. Chargers need to start getting some turnovers. They didn't even have Cam Hart, who's not even arguably, he is their best corner right now. And they still played decently well defensively, in my opinion. Again, if you're letting up those fourth and shorts, there's not much you can do. The Ravens are talented. So for this year, the Chargers can compete with good teams, despite the fact they haven't beaten much, if any. Once they get into the playoffs, there's very few, if any, teams that I don't think the Chargers have a shot against in the playoffs. So this year, they're still competitive. And looking to the future, obviously need a stud wide receiver one. I know we said that last year, but it's even more true. The Chargers are going to have some cap space, so probably, a T Higgins or something like that. So, I mean, don't freak out. I know people are, but the Chargers are still a good team, 7-4. If I would have told you before the season started the Chargers would be 7-4 at this point, I think everyone would have taken that, extremely happily. So, be happy with where they are. Obviously, you can be upset and ask for improvement in certain areas, which is what I'm doing too. But it's still a good team for as long as the Chargers have Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, and it should only get better next year with more cap space, with Joe Ortiz's draft class already far surpassing Tom Telesco's. So those are my thoughts. I'll have a video coming out later this week talking about the Falcons game and my predictions, so stay tuned for that. But make sure to like the video, subscribe for more Chargers content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.